Greetings. Welcome, sharps, newbies, and squares. It's yet another edition of Play On with Jorey and Harley. I'm Jorey, the professional. To my left, if you're watching, is Harley. And we are powered by PointsBet, the official sports book of Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, NBC, and so much more. And don't forget to check out the curling, the PointsBet Invitational, currently going on TSN in Fredericton, New Brunswick. You're too late to fill out your NCAA March Madness style bracket, but you can still wager on it. And that's easy because all you got to do is download the app and sign up and open an account at PointsBet. That is, of course, in Canada only if you're in Ontario. I want to point that out. We're calling this an NFL Week 3 edition, Harley. We're with you each and every Thursday. We start this at around 5:10 Eastern Time, live from the Bottom Line on Front Street in downtown Toronto. It's literally right beside the Hockey Hall of Fame. It's a great spot. It's Harley's go-to for wings, especially the Korean barbecue. We point that out each and every week.
The jerk ones are good also. I haven't had them in a while, but maybe we'll try them tonight and we'll see.
All right. That may be on the menu for later. Come down, say hi anytime. Again, Thursdays after 5 p.m. Eastern. Enjoy the wings, the drinks, and the great atmosphere. First, before Harley interrupts me, what's happening on today's show? It's pretty straightforward. We'll take a hard look at the Week 3 sked in the National Football League. What we're not going to do is break down every game, but the focus will be on the games, props, parlays, and whatever else we like on this week's schedule, and anything else that jumps out for me or Harley that is relevant on the sporting calendar. Also, Corey Travers, the head trader at PointsBet Canada, will be by for his weekly visit. There's been a bunch of lines moving, including tonight's Thursday nighter in Cleveland between the Steelers and the Browns, an AFC North, divisional battle. And Teddy Greenstein, senior editor and player development manager for PointsBet USA and the head man at the Hustle newsletter, will be along. He was with us a couple weeks ago, and he will drop by for another visit as well. A reminder, if you want to reach out to us, and we strongly encourage you to do so, you can tell us we're full of shit. You can tell us you love us. We don't care. We want your feedback, your questions, your comments. You can get at each of us on Twitter. I'm at Jorey Middle. Jorey is Jorey. I'm sure you can figure out how to spell middle. And Harley is at Sharp Edge Picks. You can also email us. We have confirmation the email is working. playon@pointsbet.ca. So, how are you, sir? You got a fresh shave and a Joe Montana jersey today. You going old school?
Old school. I got the shave a few hours ago. The Montana jersey we'll address
later
on when we're talking about some betting. Does that have to do with a pick? It does have to do with a pick.
Okay. You don't always match the shirt with a pick.
No, I usually
you're Toronto-centric.
I was going to wear a Leafs jersey because they're playing preseason tomorrow night, but I mean preseason, come on. I don't pay attention, so.
You don't bet on NHL preseason? Because I know a lot of people bet on NFL preseason.
I'll bet on anything that I think there's an edge. The one thing that I do like in the preseason is if you get home dogs, if you get a really bad team playing a good team. I mean,
but you got to know who's in the lineup. That's the problem. It's the same thing with the NFL preseason. You really have to have some insight as to who's going to actually suit up. Because, especially early in the preseason, you don't get many regulars, although there is a rule that you have to dress a certain amount of regulars in NHL preseason games. I will say for sure, I will not bet on NHL preseason unless, as I said with NFL preseason, I get some real credible inside information that is not readily available. Otherwise, I have no interest.
What you usually find is the stars don't travel in the preseason. So they play the home games in front of the home crowds, and they let the stinkers go on the road.
All right, so this is the point in the show where we recap the previous week's picks. I was over, but that was also because I didn't make an official play.
That was very responsible gambling of you.
Is that what it was?
I'm trying to give you the plug.
Not yet. I'm gonna give you the floor first. Recap the picks because you had a good week. You're now up in the positive.
I did have a good week. So my bets entering the week were down 0.19 of a unit. I won a unit under Mahomes passing yards on Thursday night. It was a great game, very exciting, and that went under, so that was a win. I also won 1.35 units on Thursday night because I had the D-backs to upset the Padres, which they did. I lost 1.07 units on the under in Washington, Detroit. It looked kind of good at the half, and then there was like 40 points scored in the second half.
Yeah, I think it was 20. Was it 22-0 at the half or 22?
Yeah, low.
I think it might have been 22-7.
It was low. No, it was less than that.
Okay. Anyway,
I won a unit because the Cardinals covered. They won the game. That was the plus 5.5. Yeah. That was the miracle. I got to tell you, I got a free bet from PointsBet. And I always tell people when you get the free bets, because you can't keep the principal on these things, bet dogs. I bet the Cardinals.
Big dogs or long shot parlays even. That's the time to do
your
it.
Principal's not protected. I really like the Cardinals. I mean, I don't think it was a great bet looking at the game for 3.5 of the 4 quarters.
Maybe even a little longer.
The Cardinals looked horrid, but the bet won. The Cardinals were awesome. Kudos.
They were awesome for about 8.5 minutes, and then the overtime period where they got a little lucky too because they were about right. They got the ball first and had to punt. Right?
No, they didn't. No, they didn't punt. They went for it on fourth down. They looked like they completed an awesome catch, and then the guy just got hit at the last second and dropped the ball, and then the Raiders looked like they were going in.
Right, they were driving, and then the fumble, return, and then ultimately they go in for the TD.
And after I cashed on the free bet, I actually cashed out from PointsBet. Kudos to them. They shipped me the money right away. It was very painless. It was a great process. I did lose 0.1 of a unit on Monday Night Football, the same game parlay. I decided to short the Bills offense, which doesn't look like it's going to be a very good winning strategy, but who knows? Net, I made 2.18 units for the week.
2.18. So you're up
1.99 units total.
Nice.
Again, for me, the units are over 1,000 a play. For most casual guys, it's $10.
Yep.
Same concept. Play within your means. It's easier for them to get off their action and their liquidity, especially on prop bets and stuff like that. It's a lot easier to bet $10 on a bad prop than $1,500. But same idea. Played controlled.
Absolutely. And we'll point out again, right? PointsBet has gone to the 14-cent line on sides and totals in almost all the major professional sports, including the NFL. We can't stress how important that is for the bettor, right? So you're only laying 7 cents on each side, so minus 107 to win 100. And that brings me to our first read of the day, Harley.
Oh, by the way, they're even doing it not only in baseball, but in baseball, they're doing it for in-play. So I'm looking right now as we speak, the Giants are playing the Rockies, and the Giants are up 3-0, and I don't even know what inning. The total is now 5.5 for the game, and it's minus 107 each way. That's amazing to have in-play at only 7-cent lines.
And so, again, I don't care if you hate it. I'm going to tell you because it's important, and I'm going to stress it each and every time I do this. So not only does PointsBet want the bettor to do well with the 14-cent line, PointsBet also wants you to enjoy your gambling experience. But if you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, please call the Connex Ontario helpline at 1-866-531-2600. I'll say it again, 1-866-531-2600, or message PointsBet's amazing customer support, and they will help you personally. As I mentioned earlier, Teddy Greenstein is going to join us. Is he aboard yet? He's not quite aboard yet. So while we wait for Teddy and talk to him about, the Hustle newsletter, how things are going for him through a couple weeks, because when we had him on last time, right, he made it clear he's a casual bettor like myself. He may bet on some of his favorite teams and things of that nature. So we got a few things to ask Teddy when he joins us. The way we break down how we look at the games, right, is we go early games and then the late games and the primetime games, and then we leave the Thursday nighter to the end.
Beautiful.
So here's the numbers you need, some numbers you need to know, because especially if you're listening audio, numbers are hard to digest when you can't see them, and not that we're posting the numbers on video, but I'm going to do this each and every week. So the favorites in the National Football League to date are 20, 11, and 1 straight up. Straight up. Against the spread, 13, 18, and 1.
So the Dogs are 18,
The Dogs,
13 and 1.
right, reverse. Dogs are 8. That tells you there's a lot of dogs that are either winning outright or covering games, right? Because that works out to 58.1%. 18, 13, and 1. Also, home dogs, I always look at home dogs, are 9, 5, and 1 against the spread. So far through 2 weeks, the home dogs are a good play. And just as another general thought, home teams are 17, 14, and 1 against the spread. Seeing as there's been 32 games to date, almost half have been home dogs.
Yeah, which is crazy.
15 of 32 have been home dogs.
You won't see that many most of the time.
Now, here's the number that really jumped out for me, okay? What do you think the totals are so far
I know
this
the
year?
unders are having,
my
even by
goodness.
their standards, are great. I mean,
Now,
unders are always good, but this is really good.
Small sample size. Want to make sure we point that out. Unders are 22 and 10. That's almost 69% of the games have gone under the total. And there's some low there have been some low numbers, and there continue to be some low numbers out there. So you think the public's caught on to the under train?
No, I mean, when we get to tonight's game, it's one of the
It's a
lowest
low total
you're going to see, and
it's dropped because apparently it's going to be windy today.
Very windy, and
neither quarterback's particularly
two
good.
shitty quarterbacks. Yeah, this isn't rocket science. I thought we were going to. Do I get to go on the rant with the Cleveland coaching, or are you going to discuss it, or
no?
How there's no gambling
again,
VP on the sidelines?
We're waiting for Teddy. So again, we remember last week we talked about these nitwit head coaches that don't know how to manage the clock. Nathaniel Hackett being Exhibit A in Week 1 when he completely botched things at the end of that Monday night game. Well, Hackett actually had another complete brain cramp this week, but not as bad as Kevin Stefanski, the head coach in Cleveland. So very quickly, Teddy's there. So you want to save the rant?
Sure.
We don't want to keep Teddy waiting. He's a busy guy. So we're going to pop in the headphones so we can hear him.
And
excuse me while we do this.
See him at the same time.
You can see him. I can't.
Oh, well, that's up to you.
Teddy, are you there?
I am absolutely here. What's up, fellas?
Well, you're up because you're currently with us, and it's a pleasure to be with you again, or to have you with us again.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks later, we'll point out that Teddy is the senior editor and player development manager at PointsBet USA and the chief poobah at the Hustle newsletter. So, quick start, Teddy. How are things going for you as a bettor through 2 weeks of the NFL season?
I'd say pretty dang mediocre. I was kicking myself so hard for not going under on Derrick Henry, because in the Hustle on Monday, Jay Croucher expressly pointed out that he thought Henry was going to be way under. So I certainly won on the Bills. I lost on the over on that second game on the Vikings game. So I've just been basically treading water this NFL season. Looking forward to tonight. My favorite play is I'm going Kareem Hunt over.
Oh, you're already giving us plays. I was going to ask that at the end, but go for it. Go ahead.
I mean, you guys I heard you talking about it. I heard you talking about the wind.
Yes.
So I think it's going to be a major ground and pound game, and Kareem Hunt over 45.5 rushing yards is my play. I do also like the Steelers plus 4.5, but I think I'm clouded in my judgment because I'm actually a Jets fan, and my Jets beat the Browns last week. So it's a little hard for me to, foresee the Browns being good enough against a Mike Tomlin coach team to win by 5 or more tonight.
Just before I let Harley jump in here, I do want to point out that when I looked a few minutes ago, Cleveland's down to a 4-point favorite. So I don't know if we can give you the 4.5, Teddy.
I already bet it. You can't take it away. This is
Oh,
not horse
all right.
race.
You're locked in, but just up like literally a couple minutes ago before we came on, I looked and the spread was down to 4, just so you know. Harley?
Teddy, I wanted to talk to you about the hustle and the article about Pujols. He's the man, obviously, and approaching the home runs. And I like the analysis. I would even go further than you guys. You guys brought up the point that because the Cardinals are locked, Teddy, that Pujols was likely to play every game. What about batting him leadoff?
Oh, it's an interesting idea. That would certainly help the cause. I don't know if the Cardinals are one of those teams where they say we're going to do everything humanly possible to allow our guys to break the record, or if they're more a traditional team that says we want it to be in the normal structure here. We're not going to lose our minds and bat him lead off and sort of hurt our chances of winning the game. So I think that would be a bit overboard. I mean, I also think this line is overboard right now. This price, if it's still at minus 300, I'm definitely not betting that.
No.
He's had an amazing year, but he has to hit 2 more bombs. And I think human beings, when they're trying to hit home runs, it becomes harder, even if you're Albert Pujols and have 698 on your ledger.
Teddy Greenstein, again, is with a senior editor and player development manager at PointsBet USA and the head man at the Hustle newsletter. Speaking of the newsletter, so you have a couple of guys that make picks each edition of the newsletter. So do you follow or are you a lone ranger and you're just making your own decisions?
I promise you I don't copy any of their good or horrible picks. I only make the picks on Thursday. I'm sort of more of a college football specialist. That's my favorite. When I was at the Chicago Tribune, covered it a bunch. So I thought I'm going to be in there on Thursdays. I'll make a college play. And then on Sunday and Monday, we just have Ryan Leaf of PointsBet and Jay Croucher, who has been the book, but now he actually is at NBC Sports. But I'm still calling him the book because it's my newsletter, and apparently no one can stop me. So Jay is really a sharp, and he often, is the yin to other people's yang. So tonight it's a very interesting pick. He's got the over in Browns Steelers because he believes that these two defenses are quite poor. Obviously, the offenses are not great either, except for Cleveland's rushing attack. So he's over there, and his college pick is unusual. NC State minus 38.5 against UConn. You normally don't see the more highly skilled bettors throwing out lines like 38.5 points. So obviously he has a very, very low opinion of the UConn Huskies.
Harley was mentioning before that even live in-game betting, PointsBet in a lot of the sports has gone to the 14-cent line, right? Laying 7 cents each way. I don't think we asked you last time. Are you an in-game bettor? Like, do you partake?
Yes. Bring it on. If there's a way of betting, I'm going to do it. The only thing I don't do right now is lightning bets. PointsBet, we have a big initiative on lightning bets, which is result of a drive or, it's going to get as granular as result of a play. We're going to see in golf betting, I'm a big golf fan, that you're going to be able to bet on longest drive in a threesome and, proximity to the green and all that. I haven't really gotten into the lightning stuff yet. Sometimes because I hate commercials, so I sort of skip over some stuff and fall behind. But everything else I love doing. I think the live betting, I'd like to think that if you're a knowledgeable sports fan, that really gives you an edge. And obviously then you do have to pay the juice. I think we're generally minus 115 on live. But, if you can see the game flow and maybe you can see somebody hobbling off the field for an injury where you think it's going to be significant, that's the edge for a bettor. And I recommend people take full advantage.
Harley, did you have something else?
Yeah, I wanted to talk college football. The last time we talked about it, we had a bad feeling about your Northwestern, and they got upset by Duke. Do you know who Duke is playing this week in the storyline? Because it's phenomenal.
I do happen to know they're playing the undefeated Kansas Jayhawks.
And the Kansas Jayhawks just announced they sold out at home. They are 3-0. They already crushed their season total of 2.5. Now,
Yeah, they are a basketball school. Their football program has been like in the wilderness.
yeah,
for a
Duke
long
v.
time.
Kansas is
Although Duke
classic
too,
basketball.
Yeah, exactly.
And now Kansas is, again, a 7-point favorite at home, sold-out stadium. You think Duke can pull it off again in the trap spot?
Yeah, I think I defer to you on this one. This is completely a stay away game for me. I mean, there's definitely some talk in the States. People are upset because you know all about ESPN College Game Day, and they pick this, the big game of the week to go to, and it's often, a smaller game like App State last week, and App State delivered that Hail Mary victory. So
Yeah.
most people expected it to be Duke Kansas because of the novelty. I believe Game Day's never been to Kansas.
Right.
Instead, they're going.
Are you still hearing him? I lost him
He
there
froze.
momentarily.
He's frozen.
Oh, technology.
Maybe
Teddy's
if I'm gonna
frozen.
play this
Oh,
game,
you're
I'm gonna
back.
go under.
You're back.
Yeah, I lost you for a second there.
That's
sad.
okay.
Anyway,
one last thing.
Thought,
yeah, go ahead.
Just to finish thought, if I play this game, it'll be under 65.5. That sounds a little too beefy for me.
All right, two final tidbits. One, I wanted to jump in before when you were talking about one of your experts in the newsletter looking at the over tonight in the Thursday nighter Pittsburgh-Cleveland. Some key defensive injuries, right? Clowney is out for the Browns. TJ Watt remains out for the Steelers.
Yes.
And Myles Garrett looks like they're saying he's going to play, but he didn't practice. And again, it's a short week. So you might be on to something there in terms of the offenses having a little chance maybe to air it out, because so far neither of these two quarterbacks have put up any kind of reasonable passing numbers in the first couple of games. But before we let you go, you said you're a golf fan.
Yeah.
Have you found any value in the President's Cup, which is underway?
The only thing I did was PointsBet had a power hour a day or two ago in which they boosted the odds of the individual USA players. So technically, I can't bet on PointsBet, but my wife has an account. She is a sports betting wife, and she was able to hit some of those players. I believe she got Justin Thomas at plus 1,000. She sprinkled on a few other guys. Might have been Xander Schauffele in there. So that's the only way I'm playing this. It's sad. I mean, I told our traders we should treat this like a tennis match, because when one of the players is minus 700, you're not betting the match, but you're betting a game spread. So here we should be having like a daily spread. Today probably would have been minus 2.5, and the USA is probably going to throttle that one. But other than that, it's sort of sad. This event is going to go on like this for 4 days. It's a total beatdown. It might be the last President's Cup.
Yeah, it's been a little one-sided, and the international team, of course, got hit pretty hard with some of the defections to live. But we'll have that discussion another day. Teddy, as always, a pleasure, and we'll look forward to talking to you maybe as early as next week. Good luck to your Wildcats and all of your bets in the coming days.
Love being with you. Shout out to all my in-laws in Canada. Have a great afternoon, guys.
Take care.
Thanks, you too. Teddy Greenstein, Senior Editor and Player Development Manager at PointsBet USA and the head honcho at the Hustle newsletter. Become a VIP at PointsBet, and you too can get access to the Hustle newsletter. Okay, so where we left off, we're going to take out the earphones so we can hear all the ambient noise here at the bottom line in downtown TO.
Yeah, it's a rockin' here.
It always gets busy after 5. All the Bay Streeters coming in to grab some wings and beer. So, setting the stage for what happened in Cleveland, right, last Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Teddy talked about his Jets knocking off the Browns. Never should have happened, okay? So, Cleveland is up 7.
Mm-hmm.
The Jets are out of timeouts at the 2-minute warning.
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland is deep in the Jet territory.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's important that they're just coming off the 2-minute warning, right? Because all Cleveland has to do is basically kneel down and the game's over. They hand it off to Nick Chubb. He goes in for a touchdown. They miss the extra point. The lead's 13, and in the next minute 40, the Jets scored 2 touchdowns, including recovering an onside kick. After Kevin Stefanski, the Cleveland head coach, says, yeah, we got to like that. And he sort of took the blame, but I mean,
He should. I don't know whose job it is.
Right.
I'm not sure whose job it is to tell the running back what to do.
He's the play caller, Stefanski.
Then,
do you blame the player? Do you blame the coach?
Well, Chubbs, to his
caller?
credit, was actually the guy who was famous a couple of years ago for going down out of nowhere in a wide open field and costing fantasy players, and even apologized to the fantasy players. So he seemed pretty sharp. So clearly he wasn't told anything. To me, the head coach.
To me, it's coaching. 100% the coaches take the blame.
But this isn't a take the blame. You get fired. You cost your team a win. Like, when you do wins above replacement, this is the NFL. One win. Like, if I could give a team a win a year, I'd be worth literally like $50 million. Fire the coach and find a coach who's not.
It's just the kind of stuff that cannot happen.
Well, it did.
It cannot.
It'll continue to happen to Browns fans. It's just that culture of they're a loser culture. It's a loser team, loser culture, and the fact that ownership didn't fire the coach immediately after the game means they're happy being losers.
Yeah, I didn't expect him to be fired on the spot, but to me, it's a fireable offense. There's no question about it, because every game in the NFL means something, right? It's such a short season. Not right. It's tough to make the playoffs. It's just it's utterly a joke.
Think about where the Browns have been on the verge of 3-0 if they beat Pittsburgh tonight in a division
without the quarterback they guaranteed $230 million to.
Yeah, where I have my doubts about whether or not he's really going to play, but whatever. Well,
really,
I don't know what they're doing. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing.
Okay,
I don't know if it's going to be forgiven and forgotten even when he's supposed to come in, but we'll see.
All right. So let's get to the early kickoffs, the 1:00 Easterns. A couple juicy matchups that caught my eye, led by the undefeated Bills at Miami against the undefeated Dolphins for top spot in the AFC East. That spread was 6. It's now 5.5, with the Bills favored by a bunch on the road. Total 52.5. Also looking at the Chiefs at the Colts with a desperate Indianapolis team at 0-1-1. Chiefs are 5.5-point favorites on the road. Remember what I said earlier about the home dogs? And then both playoff teams a year ago, Raiders at Titans. Neither team has a win.
Yeah,
that's like a must-win for both teams. Raiders are favored on the road by 2 with a total of 45.5. And the other early game that caught my attention, another road favorite. A theme here. Baltimore's a 2.5-point. Ravens looking to bounce back from that collapse against the Dolphins in the fourth quarter last week. Total for that one's 43.5. Any of those 4 games, one of your picks on the early games?
Yeah. Did you know the Colts are the only winless team in the NFL playing a 2-0 team this week?
They are the only winless team playing a 2-0 team. Okay.
You know the Colts got shut out last week?
In Jacksonville, where they have not won, I think, since 2013 or 14.
So they look pretty pathetic, the Colts.
Brutal.
You know they opened 6.5-point dogs, and now they're only 5.5. Did you know that?
You mean the line opened at like late Sunday night for this week, or Monday at 6.5?
Yeah. So
people are betting the Colts.
Well, not casual bettors, but sharps understand the value of these points. I'm taking the Colts plus 5.5. I'm risking 107 to win a unit. Again, this is just zagging when your friends in the public are zigging. Every casual bettor is going to assume laying less than 6 with the Chiefs against the horrid Colts is a no-brainer. The Colts got shut out. The Chiefs are awesome. You
do know that Pittman is a question mark to play. Their number 1 wide receiver, Darius Leonard, I think, is still out. They've got some key injuries, and Matt Ryan has not looked particularly good, although he put up He put up good numbers in week 1 in that tie, and they did have a field goal to win it and then cut their kicker. Is that the only 1:00 game?
That's
Colts plus 5.5.
That's the
at
only
minus 107. Nothing else?
That's all I got.
I may have a pick on an early game. Is it on the early game? I got to double check. No, I have a pick later on one of the late games. So let's look at the late tilt. So we're talking 4:00 Eastern and the prime timers. There's only one Monday nighter this week. Corey Travers has arrived. He'll be joining us shortly, the head trader at PointsBet Canada. We'll also have another name a bet that you came up with. All right, late games. Here's what caught my eye.
Tell me.
2 1-1 teams, NFC West. Rams at Cardinals. Rams minus 3.5. Another road favorite, by the way. Total 48.5. The big one, arguably, the Packers at the Bucks. Rodgers versus Brady. Tampa is now a 1-point favorite. That line's moved. We'll ask Corey about that.
They're up
Total.
to 2.
Oh, it's up to 2. It was down to 1 a minute ago, like 10 minutes ago.
Mad action at PointsBet on the
I stand corrected.
on
So
the
Tampa is
seniors
now
on the seniors division quarterback.
Tampa is now a 2-point favorite. Total still 42. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And then Sunday night, 49ers at Denver. That line is also moved. The Niners, another road favorite, are favored by 1 with a total of 45. And Monday night is Cowboys, Giants, NFC East battle. The Giants are a 1-point favorite. The total is a low number of 39. Any of those make the bell? Make your card?
Yes, there is. The Sunday nighter.
Sunday nighter. Okay.
Broncos Niners.
Yep.
It's a weird situation. The starting quarterback for the Niners gets injured.
Trey Lance.
And the odds improve for the 49ers in the game
Yep.
and the season. So that's shame on the Niners management. That's the betting public and the market saying, you made the wrong choice with Lance. We trust Garoppolo more.
Small sample size. But, Lance had that game where, a lot of bad turf, pouring rain throughout the fourth quarter. And then he goes out in the first quarter of game 2. Jimmy G comes in. They win the game. So it's a little recency bias and not a lot to go on in terms of what we've seen from Lance. But I get it.
I grew up idolizing Montana and the Niners, hence the jersey. But it's a lesson to the bettors. I always bet with my head, not my heart. I think it's a good spot for the Broncos. They're at home. Wilson is a good quarterback. He's going to get used to things on the new team. I don't know if you know this, but the Broncos have 0 touchdowns in 5 red zone opportunities.
Yeah.
They're going to turn that stuff around. It's negative noise. These are evenly matched teams. You're getting home field advantage and even money, no vig. Take it. I'm risking a unit to win a unit on the Broncos on the money line.
Now, their offense, at least from a point standpoint, has not been good. You just pointed out their troubles in the red zone.
Mm-hmm.
Their head coach right now seems way over his head. Nathaniel Hackett, given what happened in the opening Monday nighter.
Oh, yeah.
There was another insane decision. First of all, there's been talk that the plays are getting in too slow. They're taking delay of game penalties. They took a delay of game penalty on a field goal attempt, right? It moved back 5 yards, and then he punted from the 36-yard line. That is just complete and
the
utter
fact
stupidity.
that he still has a job after 2 weeks is a miracle. I think Russell Wilson takes control of this one, though.
And so you're going with the Broncos, and you're putting your face in Russ.
I'm putting my face. Yes.
The old let Russ eat.
I trust him.
You trust him to eat, and he's hungry. Okay. All right, it's that time. Only 2 picks so far. I'm going to have one for you, okay? There's going to be more?
Yeah.
Okay. Corey, come on in. It's time to welcome in Corey Travers.
How's it going?
He is the head trader at PointsBet Canada and a very busy man. So let's start first with this week's Name a Bet. I'm going to just slide my chair a bit so I can actually look at you. Harley came up with it, and it is basically as follows, not including tonight's primetime game. So it's the Sunday nighter and the Monday nighter, right? Of the 4 quarterbacks, who will have the least passing yards? So we're talking Cooper Rush of the Cowboys, Daniel Jones of the Giants, Jimmy G for the Niners, and Russell Wilson for the Broncos.
That's right.
So tell us how you came up with the numbers.
Yeah, so we're just looking at the projections for each player. As you might expect, Russ has the longest odds, and I think people are probably going to look at this and be like, oh my God, Russ with the longest odds, because I think a lot of people are probably going to read it thinking it's the most. It is not. It's the least amount of yards that wins this.
Amount of yards.
So if someone throws...
Or as Harley says, it's the bet is who's going to suck the worst.
Yes.
Right.
if someone throws a pick on their first attempt and gets replaced, they probably win. But yeah, so Russ has the longest odds there. He's at plus 400, I believe. And then Jimmy G has the second longest odds.
Yeah, I've got them here. Jimmy G's so Russ is plus 400.
That's correct. Yep.
Jimmy G's at plus 250.
Yep.
That makes sense. And then Daniel Jones doesn't throw for a whole lot of yards.
That's
generally.
Right, yeah.
He's at plus 220. And then Cooper Rush
is your favorite, meaning your least favorite.
At plus 175. If you've watched the Cowboy offense, that makes sense.
The game's in for about 39 points.
Yeah, a low total.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to have some passing yards being thrown, but still not a lot of faith in Cooper Rush in most projections out there.
All right, let's talk about the lines for tonight of the Week 3 slate. Now, tonight's already moved, and it moved recently because when I looked a few hours ago, it was Cleveland minus 4.5, and the total was 38.5. Harley just said it's now 4-38. Why has it moved? I know part of it might be weather related.
It has bounced around a bit. Yeah, I'd say that mostly the total would be weather related tonight. It has bounced around a bit this week. I believe it started out with the Browns were at about 3.5. They got up to more. I think it was around 5, and then come back. We at PointsBet are seeing more action on Pittsburgh. Generally, just a more popular team, so it's not necessarily super telling. But certainly, when the Browns were around 5, that was very appetizing.
Yeah, and I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but I recall seeing somewhere yesterday or today that Mike Tomlin, who's been the head coach now 16th year, I think he's something like around 67%-ish off a loss against the spread. We're looking up that stat.
There's a lot of Tomlin trivia out there that I think people have put a lot of, like, Tomlin never having a losing season was a big one preseason, but it's like, well, yeah, he also had Ben Roethlisberger for
the
most
entire
of
time.
He had some injuries, but yeah, I mean, he always had Ben as his main guy.
So walk us through your thinking. If there was more action on Pittsburgh than Cleveland, why was the Cleveland line going up on your site throughout the week?
It would just be some sharp action mostly. Like it's not really total action. I mean, we do see a lot of retail action, or I guess just basically casual action on Pittsburgh. Everyone likes Pittsburgh.
They're a very public
team. I mean, that's true in Canada. It's more true in the U.S. And we, of course, take the same numbers that we have in the U.S., the same numbers we have in Australia, so we see a larger sample. So it's not necessarily just the total amount of money, but it's also the sharp money that matters a lot.
So I was talking about the big game in the 4 o'clock window on Sunday, Rodgers and Brady, Packers and Bucks. I looked last night, the Bucks were 1.5-point favorites.
Yeah.
I looked just as we were coming on the air, they were 1-point favorites.
I actually looked at that too, and that was news to me when you said 2, and I checked my phone, and sure enough, the line has moved since.
Oh, so you don't know why? Like, did you just get like a real big sharp play or something, or you haven't had time?
I'd have to.
That's
I'd have
like
to make
literally
a call
just
to the
happened.
office
Okay,
I've been in transit while that line shift
so
happened.
Where else have you seen a lot of action? Because there's been some line moves on the rest of the Sunday games. There's been some line movement.
I mean, we always do see action on the Bills, especially in Canada. They have moved. I believe they started at 4.5, and they've gone out.
They were up to 6, back down to 5.5.
Yeah. Extremely strong performance on Monday night, are taking a lot of action, which is justified. I mean, they look really good. But yeah, that's a lot of what we've seen there. The Steelers, I'd say, is the most noticeable one we've seen so far. Now, take into account that's a game that's happening tonight. Yeah. You do see a huge surge in betting on the day of the game. It usually is sharper clients who will bet a game midweek or particularly early week for a game on a Sunday. Thursday, we've seen everybody's bet the Thursday game by now.
So a couple weeks into the season, is the old axiom true that you get more action on the primetime games than on the afternoon games in a big way? Or are there certain games, on Sunday afternoons that, the marquee 4 o'clock kickoff gets a ton of action?
We expect, we've already started to see, and we do expect, like the Bucks-Packers game, we'll see primetime-like action. It's a very big matchup. it's one of those games that everyone's going to be watching. Like the other games on the afternoon slate, it's not going to see a ton, relatively speaking. We have the market, the saddest QB market, and I wouldn't say that Sunday night is a terrible game by any means. Like it's actually quite a good game.
Yeah,
Broncos,
Sunday night, Broncos-Niners, yeah.
I think if the schedule were to be made like before each week, Packers. Bucks.
Yeah, but that's a TV thing too, right?
For
the
sure,
networks
yeah.
fight
Fox
over the
wants
prime
those
time,
games
of
and
course.
so does
Yeah.
NBC.
Yeah.
But it's
Do you have
funny-
anything else?
Well, the funny part is the other 3 Sunday 4 o'clock games have the Jaguars playing,
Jags, Chargers,
the
yeah.
Cardinals, and the
Yeah.
Falcons. So 3 like shitty teams. The only
Well, don't sleep on the Cards. They looked awfully
they're
shitty
horrible.
for 7.5
They're horrible.
quarters.
I'm under no illusions. The only thing I wanted to ask you, Corey, before you leave is about Aaron Judge props.
Yeah.
You're getting your
we're
Everybody
getting our
betting
fair
he
share of bets.
homers?
I mean, Aaron Judge, the baseball season is long, as we all know.
Yeah.
But we're getting into the playoff race time. There's not a lot of really, really tight races.
No, it's not that
playoff
interesting.
spots. I mean, especially with the way that the playoffs have changed in terms of like who makes it. So the biggest story in baseball right now is Aaron Judge.
And then second would be Pujols going for 700,
Pujols
right?
going for 700. I'd say as soon as Judge, we assume Judge will get to 62 relatively soon. Hey, maybe he gets it in Toronto next week.
Yeah.
But
We're
he
just
does.
talking
He
about
does
that.
have
Harley's hoping it's Tuesday because
I'm
he's going to the
Tuesday
game.
night.
I'm
so
going
that'd be
Tuesday as
cool.
well.
There
I'm
you
sitting
go.
in the outfield.
Do you-
So
did you actually specifically buy those tickets
we
for
bought
that?
those like a month ago.
Oh,
Okay, thinking about the 62 and
No, not even thinking about
okay,
62 at
that's
the time.
funny.
I mean, I should have been thinking about it. He was
Yeah.
on pace, but yeah, it's going to
So-
work out. But yeah, we have tons of Judge props. We have number of hits that Judge has. Last night we were live trading. Will Aaron Judge hit his 61st homer in his next plate appearance? Basically, Aaron Judge is the story right now, and we're rolling with that on baseball.
One other thing. So a couple times previously when you've been with us, news broke that day that impacted futures markets.
Yeah.
So today, the news came out yesterday, but we're learning more today about the Boston Celtics head coach
Yeah.
likely being suspended. Did that have an immediate impact on the futures? Did you have to react to that? Even though there hasn't been an official announcement, but the talk is he's going to be suspended for the season.
Yeah, definitely more minimal as opposed to the Donovan Mitchell news that we talked
Right.
about earlier. I mean, the thing is, it's
No, that's why I'm interested to know. Does that impact the market much?
there will be a slight impact. But it's not the NFL. It's the NBA. Coaches don't matter quite as much.
Agreed.
The Boston Celtics have a very strong roster, regardless. Certainly, they'll be able to find someone who can coach that team who's a very good coach. So it's not quite as big a deal as a superstar being traded.
And is there anything we need to know in terms of the action on the PointsBet Invitational currently going on in Fredericton?
Yeah.
We're talking curling.
Right now, favorites are dominating and overs are dominating. So we're not having a great time as a trading team.
Uh-oh.
But no.
But
no,
are you seeing a lot of action?
We are seeing a lot of action. We had.
It is on, it's on TV all the time.
Yeah, we had.
TSN had it on all day.
Yeah, I know.
We had tons of action. Actually, probably a little bit more than I expected, if I'm being 100% honest. But people are really getting into the PointsBet Invitational. There's been some really good matches. I was actually watching. Caitlin Laws had a scare from the number 15 ranked team on this afternoon's games. So that was a pretty good one. Women's curling. Obviously, I think we're going to see a little bit more drama as we get into the later rounds when the big name teams are playing teams that you've actually heard of. I mean, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, don't be shitting on the lesser known
I'm not shitting on
curling
the lesser
teams.
teams, but the PointsBet Invitational.
I'm sticking
gonna
up
look
for
right
the
at
little
camera,
guy
wherever
here.
that is. It's just gonna get better and better and better.
All right, Corey, thanks as always. We appreciate the time and the knowledge. We need it.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Corey Travers, head trader at PointsBet Canada. And he's got to find out where all the money is coming from that moved the Bucks from a 1 to a 2-point favorite for one of the 4:25 kickoffs on Sunday afternoon, which brings us to the Thursday nighter, Harley. So, as you heard Corey say, this one opened. Cleveland was a pretty big favorite, as high as 5.5. Got bet down to 4.5. Now it's down to 4, and the total's down to 38. Apparently, it's going to be windy. When we were talking with Teddy, I talked about some of the key injuries on the defensive side of the ball for both teams. Neither team has put up much in terms of passing yardage so far. It looks like an under. Are you going that way?
I am going that way.
You are.
Unders are 7-0 when the total's 38.5 or lower in the NFL over the last couple of years. Okay.
I was going to say, because you don't see a lot of 38 over the last couple of years.
The last couple of years. You
Okay.
don't see it very
Thank
often.
you for clarifying
it's
that.
a low total. And when there's a total that low in the NFL, it's basically because the weather sucks and or the quarterback sucks.
/ offenses. Yeah. And good defense.
In this case, there's 2 shitty quarterbacks and windy weather. You add it all up, and the total is going to be low.
And teams, especially Cleveland, that want to run the ball, right? Cleveland, the last couple of years, has been at or near the top in rushing attempts, rushing yardage. That's how their offense is built around the running game, and they have 2 very good backs.
So I got 2 plays, both two on the game, both kind of focused on this theme. I got under 45.5 receiving yards for Amari Cooper. I got a lay 125 on that.
Sorry, under
45.5 receiving yards for Amari Cooper.
He went over 100 last week. I do know that.
Risking 0.625 units to win half a unit.
Yep.
Again, that's a low total with a lot of vig for a big name guy pushing you to go over. Don't fall for it. Something's up. Something didn't smell right. So that one kind of caught my sniff test. And the second one I have is a same game parlay. I got under on both quarterbacks. Under Brissett, 16.5 completions. Under Trubinsky, 19.5 completions. And that the game goes under the total.
So under completions for both quarterbacks and that the game goes under 38.
Yep. And it pays plus 425. I'm risking a quarter of a unit to make 1.06 units.
All right. So
I'm
slowly but surely, you're all over the unders on tonight's game.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I'm not trying to jinx you or anything, but of course, it'll end up, there'll be 2 pick sixes, and which is the stuff you can't predict.
That's
I know.
Fumbles.
Or it'll be a
the wind works that way,
or
right?
Like a the shootout, wind blows. Not a blowout.
The wind blows through. The punts are bad.
They're right on the lake, right? So when it's windy, it's bad there in Cleveland.
It's windy, yes.
All right. So plays on tonight's game. A 1:00 play, primetime play. You got enough on the slate. I'm going to make one play for this weekend.
Okay.
All right. I was looking at a same game parlay for tonight, but the lines have moved and now I don't love it. It was a long shot. I don't love it. My one play for this week, and I'm down a unit, right?
Yep.
So I need to get that back.
Well, we don't chase here, but I guess
I'm going 1 unit.
Okay.
That's not chasing, right?
What do you
1 unit. I like the under in the Chargers-Jags game.
Okay.
That's one of the late games on Sunday. Justin Herbert is supposed to play. He's been limited in practice. If you remember, he had his ribs broken last Thursday night in the Chiefs-Chargers game. I think they're going to try really hard to protect him. So run, short passes. The Jags defense is playing pretty well this year.
Especially last week. The total's 47.
And it's 47. It's a pretty high number. So I'm sticking with this under train. I told you it's almost 69%, only through 2 weeks.
Right.
But I like under Chargers Jags for 1 unit on Sunday afternoon. So I'm laying 107.
Got it. 107 with the reduced vig at PointsBet.
All right, so that's my play. And I'm glad you said don't chase. Like, did you think I was going to make like a 4-unit play or something?
No.
Okay, well, I didn't.
You were good.
We're good there. Just the one play. We want to remind everybody, once again, that PointsBet and us want you to enjoy your gambling experience. But if you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, please call the Connex Ontario helpline at 1-866-531-2600 or message PointsBet's amazing customer support, and they will help you personally. And that, of course, assumes you have an account at PointsBet. We encourage you to do so because, of course, they're our fine sponsor. Down for Ontario users only if you're listening or watching in Canada. Open up your account at PointsBet Canada. So we're almost done, but you need to recap all the picks.
I got to give you a pick first.
You have another one. Oh,
I got
right.
one in MLB.
Oh, you have an MLB pick, right? Is it for tonight?
I'm going back to my Diamondbacks tonight at 10
going
p.m.
back to the well. They got to be a huge dog, right? They're playing the Dodgers.
They're at the Dodgers. The over-under is only 7. I'm laying minus 120 and taking them plus 1.5 runs on the run line.
The run line.
I'm risking 1.2 units to win a unit.
Have the Diamondbacks not won the last two nights?
They're doing well.
They're going to sweep the Dodgers?
I think they lost the first game.
It's a 4-gamer? Right.
I like the spot. It's a low total, so low scoring, and the Dodgers don't bat in the ninth if they're up a run. Both teams have aces going, Gallen and Urias. They both have ERAs like in the low 2s. Should be a snooze fest. Getting that plus 1.5 is a good spot, and I'm going to take the D-backs.
All right. So now I will throw it to you to recap all the picks from today's show.
All the picks. So I was
all the picks.
up 1.99 units entering the week.
Yep.
If you sign up at PointsBet, you can make the following wagers. Tonight's NFL matchup, I got a same-game parlay taking under Brissett, 16.5 completions, under Trubinsky, 19.5 completions, and betting that the game goes under. Same game parlay pays plus 425. I'm risking 1/4 of a unit to make 1.06 units. I'm also on under 45.5 yards for Amari Cooper, risking 0.6 to win half a unit. Also tonight in MLB action, I got the Diamondbacks plus 1.5.
Laying
at the Dodgers. I'm risking 1.2 units to win a unit. On Sunday, I'm taking the Colts plus 5.5. I'm risking 1.07 units to win a unit. And on Sunday's primetime game, I'm risking 1 unit to win a unit on the Broncos money line. My plays, Jorey's one play is under 47 in Chargers Jags. He's risking the low vig of 1.07 at PointsBet to win a unit.
Well, so we got plenty for you this week. I mean, Harley, you're good for 4 or 5 picks. Notice how he unit bets. You have yet to have.
I haven't even done a 2-unit or
no.
Yet.
I don't. You haven't nothing more than 1 unit. Well, or 1.07, whatever the juice is, but nothing more than a unit, which is what we preach. Manage your bankroll properly, people. It's incredibly important, and we will continue to stress it each and every week on this show.
Mm-hmm.
So next week we'll be back for a Week 4 edition. We're inching closer to baseball playoffs, right?
I just locked in my Jays. I convinced my brother to buy 1/4 of a season of tickets for next year so we could get access to the playoff tickets. So
now you're hoping they're going to have at least some home games in the wild card round. Well, if they host, they get all 3.
I bought tickets all the way through to the World Series. The playoff tickets I bought cost more than the quarter of the season for next year.
Yeah, well, the
prices go.
Teams aren't dumb when it comes to the postseason.
You're paying $60 a seat for good seats in the regular season, and you're paying for those same seats $170 in round 1 up to like $400 a seat for the World Series.
They know when they got you, and they will take advantage. It's supply and demand.
Yeah.
So we'll probably little more baseball talk next week as we inch towards the finish line for the regular season and start seeing maybe some potential playoff matchups. But we will be, as always, NFL focused. Corey Travers will be by. We'll see maybe Teddy Greenstein. And so on the way out, we say thank you to Teddy Greenstein, who is once again the Senior and Player Development Manager at PointsBet USA and Chief Poop Letter, which is brought to you by PointsBet. We thank Corey Travers, who joined us, as he does each and every week. PointsBet Canada. We say thank you, of course, to our producer, Jordan LaRoche. As always, our great hosts at the bottom line. Come down, check it out, say hi. We're here. We start recording at 5:10 on Thursdays, right here on Front Street next to the Hockey Hall of Fame in downtown TO. We thank you for listening and or watching. Remember, reach out to us on Twitter at Jorey Middle, at Sharp Edge Picks, or email us, playon@pointsbet.ca. Check us out on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Rate, review, subscribe, do all that fun stuff because we want to hear from you. And on the way out, Harley, I'm going to say the same thing I do each and every week. For Harley, I'm Jorey. May all your picks be winners, ours as well. We'll talk to you next week for another edition of Play On with Jorey and Harley, powered by PointsBet. Enjoy the Thursday nighter and all of week 3, and good luck, especially to you, Harley.
Thanks, Jorey. Have a good one.
We're out.